Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter, and welcome you to another Degrassi poll video idea. So, a while ago, I decided a couple weeks ago to set up a poll video based on my Degrassi unpopular opinions. Because once I reached 100 unpopular opinions slash hot takes, I figured I'd do a video on what would be the best unpopular opinion and all that. Now, of course, the rules were for the polls, like I said, they had to be the creations had to be my doing. Like I had to have been the guy who did it. No unpopular opinions based off of other people's stuff. I think other people have said that. Hot takes were no, so they were disqualified. So I found 45, including 2 that I actually didn't really do, but now I added it in. So I did from 45. I tried to knock it down a bit. So I did 45. It just doesn't make sense. Let me get my sheet of paper and all that. I think I made a giant boo-boo. Yeah, 45. So I made nine polls of 5. Whoever won, who were the top 3 in each of the polls, of those polls, were 27. There were 27 polls. Now the numbers were randomly selected. So there's 20. So that got 27. And then whoever ended up being 4th place in the 9 polls, I did 3 groups of 3, and those 3 winners got to be in at spots 28, 29, and 30. Like to be in the top 30. There were a lot of unpopular opinions that were knocked out. There were some that I actually was not too happy that was eliminated in the first spot. So here are some unpopular opinions that did not make the cut for the top 30. Paige being with Mr. O because of her trauma in season 4. I don't know why that wasn't there. Manny should have helped Emma calm down in season 6 because of Emma's diatribe towards Lakehurst. Instead, that I kind of blame Manny for not calming Emma down because Emma could have been okay. Another one that did not make the cut is Emma having power over Manny in season 5. Although at times it seemed that Emma was being bossy towards Manny and saying that I saved your butt. I gave you a place to live. Now you live by my rules. Darcy not going to Africa because of her folks. I'm surprised I didn't make it. Another one that ticked me off was that I made the unpopular opinion that Rick's dad was not why Rick had the problems. It was Paige, because remember Rick went after Paige first. So there was a reason why Rick went after Paige because of all the headaches Paige kind of sent him in seasons 3 and 4. Also, like I made a good one about Bianca playing Drew like a fiddle to get what she wanted. I'm surprised that didn't get it. I guess a lot of people said Bianca was misunderstood. Pill's downfall didn't make the top 30, which ticked me off because it's like, Pill doing that stuff on Drew. I think Audra basically was an influence to why Pill was eliminated. Pill was trying to make the school board realize she was the best principal for the job, but she may have overdone things. Another one that shocked me was that Tristan's "I'm asleep" line aiming at Maya. That it wasn't. It was basically that Tristan had issues with Maya stuff. And yeah. So basically, those were the ones that shocked me. But anyway, I've got to do the top 30 now. So anyway, we'll start off with the top 30 soon. All right. So first at number 30 on the list, who were I did the poll from 25 to 30. The lowest number is season 7 having the best premiere with 7 votes. So what ended up happening is that I decided to say, well, my unpopular opinion was that season 7 had the best season premiere because there were a lot of good season premieres. I mean, season 1 was the series premiere with Mother and Child reunion. Season 4 is when Paige has to go through her rape trial. There were several season premieres that were great. I said season 7 had the best because of the double storyline. Well, the first storyline was that Darcy and Peter were still dating, but Peter wants to be open to his mom about dating Darcy. But Darcy's parents don't want Darcy dating Peter because of Peter's misdeeds. I wouldn't blame him one bit. So Darcy decides to sneak out and join Peter and Manny for a ski weekend, and then she ends up getting roofied and doesn't realize she's got roofied. And then the other part was when Lakehurst got their students into Degrassi and all that because of a fire. And Toby, of course, takes up the cause. Why is Lakehurst coming here and all that? Because, they killed my best friend, JT. He does a podcast. He confronts Johnny, but there's a lot of problems. But then Toby realizes that maybe being aggressive was not the best thing. And, maybe it's just a friend you haven't met. And of course, I think the writers put these Lakers people in season 7 because they knew that there was going to be a big graduation class and they needed to increase the storyline. Next up was, there was a tie for 29th, like second lowest on the 25 to 30 poll. And because one of them has the one I personally picked, this one's number 29. Speaking of the whole Lakers thing, number 29 was Nick having involvement in JT stabbing. Now, of course, Nick was there for like one episode and then basically he just vanished. Like, he wasn't even mentioned in the whole scenario when JT got stabbed or during the episode which JT got stabbed. My theory is that, Nick probably told Johnny and Drake Lampley to cause trouble for Degrassi, realizing like where JT is. Just follow JT and then, cause havoc for JT. And then, of course, Drake decides to stab JT in the aorta, killing him. Johnny's scarred by it and tries to get past the problem. But the fact of the matter is that, Nick could have set them up for something. And then, Nick probably off screen got arrested and charged with conspiracy and spent some time in jail. Who knows? Number 28 with 8 votes. And I hated this being so low. Is Emma being a clingy friend because of season 4. There's another scenario with being clingy with another part of her life. But anyway, my philosophy on this was that in season 4, remember, Emma had no friends. Like, Manny and Liberty left her after Emma being petty over Chris being with Liberty. And then she gets into Paige's clique, who kick her out for trying to be protective, quote-unquote protective of Rick. And then she has no friends except for the quiz team of Heather, Toby, and Rick. And, of course, it's perfect for Rick to be with Emma because Rick has his obsession over Emma. And then, Jimmy takes over for Heather's spot because Heather has mono. And then, Emma felt like she had no friends to protect her and all that. Although I think maybe the writers wanted Toby to be with Emma. But no, I guess not. And that explains why Emma hangs on to Manny and Liberty a lot more than normal after Rick hurt her in season 4. She figured that because she had no friends, she was all alone and easy pickings for Rick. So basically, she tries her best to stay with Manny and Liberty as friends because of the fact that, maybe if she had a close friend, maybe they could have given her advice on how to deal with Rick's quote-unquote advances. So, yeah, that was pretty tough. But, Emma got out of it somehow. And, of course, the clinginess is open in season 8 in the opener when she tries her best to get Manny and Liberty in the same dorm as her because she feels like she can't live without Manny and Liberty. That was kind of sickening. Anyhow, number 27 with 11 votes in the mini poll was Paige getting blamed for Ashley's downfall in season 2. Here's why. Ashley, at the end of season 1, Jagged Little Pill takes some ecstasy and basically loses all her friends. So season 2, she starts over and she gets into that. But then she tries to apologize for everything that happened. But all of a freaking sudden, I guess it makes no point for me to hold my clipboard. Sorry about that. So anyway, Paige getting blamed because Ashley was trying to get back in everyone's good circles, but Paige basically seemed to push that Ashley's not to have friends, especially near the end when Ashley tries her best to get to Hazel and Terry, but is upset that Hazel and Terry decide to choose the warmth of Paige's clique in front of being friends with Ashley and probably being sassed at Paige. So they decided to go with Paige. Ashley is upset. She goes golf. Probably as a way to get back at Paige for being a dick. Anyway, number 26 was Emma being with Sean after he saved her butt from Rick's gun. I'm surprised this wasn't ranked higher. So when I did the top 30, I had them like what I did was whoever won each of the 9 mini polls would get into similar mini polls, randomly selected, of course, and those winners got to be in, like the top scores and all that. I'm surprised that Emma being with Sean was not really that popular. But Emma wanted to be Sean after he saved her butt from Rick's gun. And of course, this also, I did a separate Fury that didn't make the cut about Emma wanting to be with a boy, want to have a boyfriend because of the offensive time standstill. So I'm going to combine it. So, of course, everyone knows in Back in Black, Sean, relishes being a hero for saving Emma from Rick's gun and, of course, killing Rick. And, of course, Emma bursts into the media room and tells Sean how grateful she was. She comes to Wasaga with Sean. So does Ellie. And, Sean's trying to confront his parents over a comment they made on TV. But, after realizing the parents did it for the best intention, sending him to Toronto to avoid him going to jail in Wasaga and jumping off that jet ski, it seemed a little off. But yeah, he realizes that he killed Rick and he probably was worried about repercussions. But I mean, the cops would have destroyed him before the Monday. They would have found out about Sean and got Sean right off the bat. That's always my theory, is that Sean left for Wasaga Beach because he didn't want to deal with the cops. And he was afraid he was going to get in trouble for shooting Rick. But Rick was a school shooter. I think that Sean didn't have to worry about that because Rick was the bad guy in the whole situation. And it also added that Emma, her relationship with Peter, Damien, Sean in season 6, and Kelly were just basically, she just wants to cling on to a guy. Remember, same as the Friends Fury, Emma didn't have a boyfriend. She broke up with Chris over the summer before season 4. She only wanted Chris to prevent him from being with Liberty. She didn't even want the guy. And then, when Sean came back and saved her life, Emma felt that she and Sean should connect. And then, Sean left. And Emma felt terrible about it. And Emma just wanted to be a normal teenager, probably thinking that if she had a boyfriend, that boyfriend could have destroyed Rick before Rick put in the gun at Emma. So yeah, that's it. And number 25 on the list is, someone's telling me I'm doing something stupid. Well, fuck that. Sorry about that. So number 20, I'll keep it in the main plot because, it's kind of funny. Number 25 is, if the Rick Murray storyline happened in 2021, many more people would have been prosecuted. I'm surprised it didn't get any higher, but it's just the way the voting went. So to explain it, I did this unpopular opinion a couple of weeks ago. Like, I taped it and put it on the unpopular opinions thing that's on the sidebar of the Degrassi Reddit. I was hoping to get another list put on there, like my Degrassiisms, but what can you do? So anyhow, the 2021 thing. I know it's kind of a popular opinion, but the way it is that, everybody there would have been a lot more people who were been convicted. Like 2021, who knows? Maybe the police would have charged Sean with hurting Rick. Maybe Emma alongside Paige's clique would have been in trouble for the Orange Ribbon campaign and all that. Maybe the students would have had to face criminal charges or some kind of fine and all that. The justice system. Radich would have been investigated by the cops. I know the school board got rid of Radich, but the fact of the matter is that the cops would have stepped in and Radich would have been heavily hurt. Radich would have been canceled, to kind of phrase. So, yeah, about that. I'm just going to check my numbers here. All right. So, I think I did pretty good. All right. So, these are the next results from 24 to 19. Number 24 is, well, I should write that. 24, right? Yep. Number 24 is Hatzalako's blaming Spinner for Rick's death. I'm surprised it didn't get higher, but, Hatzalako's makes the line that a boy's in a wheelchair and a boy's in a grave because of your selfish actions. Because, Spinner confessed at the end of Eye of the Tiger to the Paid in Feathers prank and all that. And he and Jay got expelled. And then it's like, why the hell is Hatzalako's blaming Spinner for Rick's death? It doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah, Jimmy's in a wheelchair because of Rick's thing, because of Spinner's thing and trying to fix Jimmy up. I should have put the unpopular opinion about the fact that Rick should never have listened to Jay and Spinner's BS. but I failed. Anyhow, Hatzalako's blaming Spinner for Rick's death at the end of Eye of the Tiger. It's like, why is she saying that? I mean, the other stuff, yes, that's true, but why is she saying it now? And of course, the zero tolerance thing. It could be possible that Hatzalakos was under pressure to say something about the zero tolerance policy. Because after all, I mean, the school board probably put pressure on her when she became principal. So we had a three-way tie for number 21. Now number 21 is the one I picked. So let me see here. Okay, number 23 is the writers botching Shane after season 3. So hardcore Degrassi fans know about Degrassi High and Junior High about, Shane being impregnating Spike, and it seemed like Shane didn't want anything to do with the kid. Shane has some fault in it, but also Shane's freaking parents do too. Like, Shane's dad was a minister and basically wanted to send Shane to a boarding school and force Spike to give up Emma for adoption. And then Shane basically figures that because now that Shane impregnated Spike, that the parents are scared to leave their house, and basically said, you're doing it for your own selfish actions. Shane wanted to try to help, but I had her misgivings. I don't blame Spike at all. I like the fact that Spike that would raise Emma on her own and with her mother's help. I mean, I forgot Spike's dad left Spike and her mom. Wow, that's just pathetic. So anyway, Shane comes back in season 3 when Emma wants to know more about her birth father because, she's going to have a new baby sibling. Spike is of no help. She finds out he's in Stoveville in a mental deficiency, in a place for people with adults with mental intelligence issues. I don't know how to phrase it. But anyhow, Emma was mad at Spike. Snake did the right thing by telling Emma the Shane story about how the fact Shane wanted to get in Emma's life, but Spike wouldn't let him. And also that Shane had that accident when he jumped off a bridge or fell off. We don't know. I think he probably fell off because he was on acid. And, things happen. So, yeah, we don't get any mention of Shane after season 3. Not even from Emma, which was like, after Shane appeared in that season 3 premiere, he was off limits. What the hell? Okay, so number 22 ended up being Zoe doing Degrassi nudes to get her body image back from her rape. I think it was a popular opinion, but the fact of the matter is that Zoe in season 13 was raped. She got justice. Her 2 rapists were sent to juvie. Becky, of course, was upset because her parents wanted her to save Luke's bacon. I would be surprised if Becky stayed with her parents. I think her parents knew that if they kicked her out, they would have been in deep trouble. And Becky probably would have told on them, saying that they pressured me to lie about Luke, but I didn't know that, hoping to get her parents in trouble. And probably her father out of the ministry. But as is, Zoe in season 14 did Degrassi nudes. I know that the cheerleading squad wanted better uniforms and all that. That's great. But then posting sexually provocative pictures of themselves to get money on Oomph Chat and all that. It's just pathetic. I think Zoe just wanted to get her body image back because she was body shamed and all that. Zoe was being a bully. And Zoe can count her lucky stars that her lawyer got her out of 5 years in prison for child pornography thing. Although Zoe had to do community service and wasn't sure about it, but was told that if you don't do it, then you can go to jail. So yeah. Number 21 is the one I picked. And Rick avoided charges because of the system, quote unquote. I'm actually shocked that it didn't go any higher, not even the top 20. But anyhow, Rick avoiding charges and all that. Things might be different in 2021 as they were in 2004. Because when Rick put Terry in a coma and all that, he had blood in his hands. He ran from Spinner and Paige. And the fact of the matter is that when Rick came back in season 4, in that stupid deleted scene, which I will refer to in a different unpopular opinion one, Rick was let back to school. There's no criminal charges and all that. And of course, it puzzles me. It's like, why the hell did Paige, Spinner, Terry's dad, Terry, and a few other people not press charges on him? But then again, the problem is that the justice system. I mean, Terry's mental state would have played a part. Maybe Rick's lawyer would have said that Terry's mental state is so bad that she can't remember all the details about Rick, and Rick's a free man. But Rick should have went to court, and Rick should have been punished in some way. But the system failed, and Rick was allowed back at Degrassi. That led the students to try to destroy Rick once and for all for hurting Terry and all that. Number 20, who made it? This is who made it to the top 20 with 16 votes is Emma being proactive and telling Snake about Rick's issues. So Emma kind of knew that Rick had Rick was bullied and all that, especially in the Whack Your Brain test session when Jimmy makes his first appearance on the team after Heather's mono. That Jimmy says something to Rick, and Rick says that they're hurting. I've been hurt every day, and now they're going after Toby. Nobody should deserve this, especially Toby. In a way, he's telling Jimmy that, they're going to get to him, but if they can't find Rick, they'll go to Toby and try to destroy Toby. So Jimmy understands. Jimmy steps in and protects Rick from Spinner, Jay, and Alex, who, of course, are pissed off and may have done the stuff to get on Jimmy's nerves because, they lost Jimmy as an ally. They wanted Jimmy back. But, Emma being proactive and telling Snake about Rick's issues. Now, somebody did say in a post I did a couple years ago that said that Emma was trying to get through her day and would have told Snake after school. But I think Emma should have said something to Snake even the day before the Wacky Brain thing. But she encouraged Rick to get together with Jimmy, and Rick did. And it worked. But, Emma would have definitely went to Snake and not Radish. I'll talk more about that in the countdown. All right, so number 19, hopefully you see that's the 9. Number 19 was Palix with the foreshadowing. Paige and Alex's thing, especially with Paige in season 5. Now, I don't have any problems with them being a couple, Paige and Alex, which was kind of strange. They worked at the movie theater in season 4 because Paige needed money to pay for Spinner's car after what she did to Spinner's car hurting Dean. But the fact of the matter is that Paige was never portrayed we had no idea, no foreshadowing that Paige was going to turn gay or bisexual, which I think she was bisexual. I don't know why they didn't give Paige a bisexual storyline. That would have made things a whole lot easier for us to swallow as fans. But, Paige and all that. I do have an unpopular opinion that Paige turned gay because of the fact of season 4. You can fight. I understand if you don't like this thing. But anyway, Paige hated herself. I mean, season 4, men just destroyed her. Like, Dean got off scot-free with the rape. Spinner had flirtations with Manny. While Paige is trying to work to pay off Spinner's car in the first place. She should have threatened Spinner, saying that you stay with me or else you don't get any money for your car. I mean, Rick came back into the picture, which, upsets a lot of people, and I understand that. Like, really. And then you got her flirtation with Mr. Olander, in which Paige actually wants to be with Olander. And I'm like, what the hell, Paige? You're falling for Olander and you're going to protect him in that hearing? I think she just wanted to cling on to somebody. And, Olander left her high and dry. And then Paige decided to go towards Alex for some reason. Kind of weird. All right, so let's check my timing. Okay, I'm at 20 minutes with 18 more. All right. No, 40 minutes, 20. I tried to 20 minutes, 40. Okay, I'm at a good pace. All right. So here we go. So the next 6 will have to do with the top from spots 13 to 18 and all that. So there was one that confused a lot of people. But anyway, number 18, and by a wide margin, was Degrassi having money issues before Hollinsworth forcing Snag to gravel. Or gravel, pardon, I spelled it wrong. Okay, so number 18 is the money issues. So what happened with me is that I see that Degrassi has financial problems. Season 2, Fight for Your Right, which I will reference to in one that's in this kind of mini bar from 13 to 18, is that, Raj says that we're lucky to have a school cafeteria because of budget cuts. And then season 4, in a background conversation, Armstrong wants supplies, and Raj says, I don't have the budget. I got so many teachers to deal with too. And, the purple dragon thing from season 7, it's like Degrassi's selling out to get money. What type of financial situation is Degrassi in? Like, they're losing money. Maybe they got to pay maybe the school had to pay a fine because of the Rick Murray situation, despite the fact that Rick was the true villain. And then, it seemed that Degrassi had lavish spending on stuff. And one key thing is Hollingsworth, because Hollingsworth made it Degrassi campaign stock for his run to be mayor and promised Degrassi a new wing. It's like, what the hell? Does Degrassi really need a new wing? And the problem with that is that Hollingsworth has 3 kids that attend Degrassi, and it's like nepotism and all that shit. So anyway, he ends up being mayor, and Hollingsworth probably puts money into Degrassi and to shut up Snake if Snake has any issues with Hollingsworth's problems. The biggest thing about this is how Hunter, Frankie, and Miles were not punished for their actions. Miles for season 14 for starting the fire in Degrassi. Hunter for season 15's misogynistic thing about the gamer club. And Frankie season 16 racism thing that, they barely avoided punishment and all that. So my problem is that, Hollingsworth, probably used money and forced Snake to grovel. Poor Snake, sucking up to people. Ironically, guess what number 17 is? Yep, Snake's sucking up to Audra, or Karen as some people call her, Taurus, in season 10. Sorry, I'm trying to do the 7. Okay, yeah, I have to do it mirror stuff. So the number 17 is Snake sucking up to Audra. There was actually a tie, but my personal pick won, so that's the next one. So anyway, Snake sucking up to Audra in season 10. Snake screwed up the whole Drew hazing thing. Drew wanted to be the quarterback. He said to Riley, it's not about you being gay. It's about, me wanting to be QB1. And Drew could have been a star on offense or defense in another position, but no, he just wanted a quarterback. And Audra was upset with Snake not helping Drew out. And also with Adam in his transgender phase. I know Audra was a little embarrassed by Adam's transgender phase, but she defended him when it counted. So Audra says, you will not have a problem in season 10, and we will find a new principal. Snake says, don't worry about it. I'll keep Vegas Night clean. Unfortunately, Vegas Night was a disaster, and, Snake was in trouble for it. So he decided to color code everyone, forcing them in uniforms, no extracurriculars, a seminar for girls about their body issues, even though that some of them were not guilty of their crimes. Snake sucked up to Audra, and the students took him to task. I mean, the students did violate Snake's trust. Don't get me wrong, but basically Snake overreacting to things. The problem with Snake's principalship from season 10 to the end of next class is that he's either a good principal and helping his students, or a terrible principal and just punishing people for the slightest thing, being draconian, pardon. So that's it. Okay, so number 16 on the list, I got to turn my 6 around. Number 16 is Radish's gripe against Emma in season 4. I think that's right. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, that's right. Number 16. That's right. All right, so 16 is Radish's gripe against Emma. So, like I said about Emma, when I said Emma should have told Snake about her problems and not tell Radish, there was a reason. In season 4, when Emma hears about Rick coming back to the school, she wants to do something about it. And Radish says that this is not one of your stupid crusades and all that. And, Radish had a reason for getting on Emma's nerves. Because Radish still holds, from season 2, the gripe against Emma. The grudge, if you will. In Fight for Your Right, Emma wants to do a GMO presentation to Radish. Radish agrees with their things, but says that the budget says anything for non-GMO foods. Emma's upset, thinking that Radish is just shooting them off, and does flyers, gets them taken away. She waves the white flag, but then she sees a cafeteria commercial, and she sees red. She's easily triggered, I'll tell you that much. Radish decides to kick Emma out for the rest of the day, but Emma refuses to leave and protests outside school grounds. But Radish forces her to apologize. Emma does apologize for starting a food fight inadvertently and for hurting Sheila's feelings and for the GMO foods. But then she said that her cause is now free speech and tells on everyone about Radish's policy that he's enforcing stuff on her because he has a bone to pick. And of course, Raj may be thinking he needs to get to make sure that the students play his way or the highway, his way or the highway. So maybe Raj was just upset that Emma always undermines him. And then that kind of is one of the ways about Emma doing the Orange Ribbon campaign. I'll get to more on Emma's problems with the Rick situation later on in this countdown. But anyway, Raj's gripe with Emma was huge. Emma wouldn't tell Raj anything. I think that basically Raj probably would have got mad at Emma for the Orange Ribbon campaign and all that. And I think Raj didn't want to hurt Emma because he knew that Snake would have stepped in, protected Emma, and Raj would have been dead beat. Raj was dead beat anyhow, so yeah, I say so. All right, so number 15 on the list with 20 votes in the mini poll was Spike's downfall was not needed. Now, this was controversial, but anyway, the problem with Degrassi Next Gen is that basically almost every OG minus Snake who appeared in a few episodes in the show in the Next Generation phase from 1 to 7 actually had a terrible ending. Joey and Caitlin had a terrible ending thanks to Kevin Smith's fanfic, if you will. Not much about Wheels falling off the track in a sense. You know, not a lot of OGs were there. Caitlin, Joey, Raj had his downfall, but he asked for it. But yeah, Spike's downfall not needed. Spike was a very caring and a big part of Degrassi for the first 4 seasons. But by season 5, she started a downfall. It seemed that Spike, was upset over Snake's treats with Hasselackles, easily so. Spike kicks Snake out. She falls into a depression. Snake wins her back, but not before Emma being forced to be the head of household. Why wasn't Manny helping? Like, fuck. Emma should have told Manny, you do your part or I kick you out. But anyway, yeah, Spike seemed to have lots of mistrust and all that, especially in season 7, not happy with how Snake was handling the situation. He's allowed to go back to school because of Darcy, the investigation saying that he wasn't hurting Darcy. Darcy was just trying to protect herself from her mother. And then, Lakehurst causing a lot of issues. Spike and Jack leave for Mom's place, and Emma stays with Snake. I think saying that someone has to be the adult around here. And I think Spike was upset with Emma siding with Snake. Why? I don't know. Anyway, number 14 on the list. 14, right? Yeah. Number 14 is Emma's friendship with Manny was better than you think. Now, everyone agrees. I know a lot of people agree that Emma was not the best friend to Manny and vice versa. However, I think Emma was a better friend to Manny than we all count. My topic sentence for this unpopular opinion is that Emma was a good friend. Emma was a good friend to Manny. She had the right idea trying to help Manny with her self-image, but had the poor execution. Emma was a little petty over Manny being on the Spirit Squad in season 1, saying that, cheerleading squads are sexism. And Paige is like, no, we have boys on our team. But that's not the sexism. It's not gender. It's sexism because, cheerleaders are portrayed as easy targets and all that. Emma was a little prudish compared to Manny. Like, Emma was trying to protect Manny from herself in season 3, and Manny just took it as bad logic and broke up with Emma as a friend. Emma probably was upset that Manny was pregnant and said, see, I told you so. Like, she protected Manny in season 3. Maybe for her own interest, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Emma seemed to have a good idea of trying to help Manny out, but her execution was just not warranted by the writers. And number 13 on the list to end the mini poll is Emma deserving blame for Rick's bullying. Yep, I said that, I'm going to talk about Emma needing blame in Rick's bullying and all that. Now, Emma deserves some blame. I'm not saying a lot of blame compared to like Spinner, Jay, Alex, and even Raditch. But the fact of the matter is that Emma may have done the Orange Ribbon campaign as payback because after all, Rick is back at the school without charges and he hurt Terry and all that. And maybe the Orange Ribbon campaign was a way to get back at Raditch for telling her stupid crusades. To me, it's like Raditch seems to always trigger Emma, and Emma does the right thing in a lot of people's mind, and it just shows how much Raditch was hated. I mean, Emma started the Orange Ribbon campaign. She stopped it inadvertently by protecting Rick from Paige's clique who wanted to beat up Rick. Honestly, I mean, Emma, I think, was scared that if there was any repercussions, she would have been hit hard. But Emma also would probably, in my headcanon, blame Paige is and get Paige's clicking to deep trouble for that. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. And Emma was trying to get friends to notice her, people to notice her, because she lost Manny and Liberty. She had nobody around her, and she was trying to stake it to Manny and Liberty by saying, "I don't need you. I have friends of my own." But it didn't work out, and Emma, failed miserably. I mean, she started it, but the students have issues with this. And this will also, I'll talk about that later on in the countdown. All right, so I'm taking my count. Okay, so yeah, I've got good pace. All right, so the next 6 were in the mini poll from spots 7 to 12. Okay, so number 12 on the list was Alex would have sympathy about her situation if she didn't bully Rick. Now, in Mercy Street, when Emma is thinking about taking the check from Rick, she says to Alex reads up the check, says, "Great, you don't know anything about this whole situation." And Alex proceeds to rip Emma a new one, saying that, you're not the one who has to deal with your mother being abused by ex-boyfriends, helping her dress herself, helping her cry herself to sleep and all that, living women's shelters. If Alex had basically said that to everyone else, why she was involved in the Rick situation, it's true. I mean, Alex pictured Rick as the epitome of every guy who wronged her mother. So she needed to do something right. And, Alex got off scot-free thanks to Spitter and Jake leaving her out of it. But I think Alex should have taken responsibility and her guilt and just, helped out. So here's who missed out of the top 10. By 4 votes, and number 11 missing out of the top 10 was Maya being with Miles in season 14 because of her guilt over losing Cam. So, of course, everyone knows the story. Should know about bittersweet sympathy when, Cam kills himself and Maya feels terrible about it. And Maya seems to be indifferent, and then all of a sudden she feels upset, saying that, Cam had the foresight to break up with me. I would have helped him and all that. I think Maya was just upset with herself. And season 14, her issues were playing out ahead. Her depression was playing out ahead. She was with Miles. They had an off again, on again relationship in season 14. But then Maya started having nightmares about Miles hurting himself and all that. She can't figure out why she has Miles in that situation. But then she realizes that this is a situation that Cam has gotten into. So she didn't want Miles to end up like Cam. And everything was deja vu to her. She tries to get into Miles' stuff after realizing that Miles ghosted her on social media and wrote a post saying, "I feel so sick, kill me." And Maya tells Sig and Zoe that, I can't let this happen again. She was upset. She was thinking that Miles was going to be on the dark path, just like, Cam. And, Maya protecting Miles from the police in season 14 was terrible. I mean, everyone chewed her out for it. But, Maya just didn't want the Cam situation all over again. She had guilt over it. And unfortunately, that bus crash brought back all those horrible feelings. All right, so now it's top 10 time. Number 10 with 17 votes was Anya being screwed over by Sav and his parents. I know a lot of people said that Anya, her problems were not because of Sav and his parents. But yeah, I say so too. This is why I say that. Because Anya wanted to be with Sav. She was willing to convert for his sake. But Sav basically was under his parents' rules and all that. And, an arranged marriage and all that. And Sav figured that, he better not hurt his parents' feelings and all that. Of course, this was before Allie's thing in season 10. So Anya was upset. She wanted to be with Sav. Holly J tried to get Anya to screw over Sav's chances to be student council president in season 10. But Anya turned it around on Holly J as a big F you don't control me anymore. And, Anya and Sav were decent, but Sav decides to go to the prom with his arranged bride instead of Anya. And weird of all, the next time, Sav was with Holly J and all that. Anya's big enemy. Anya wanted to do everything for Sav, but Sav wouldn't stand up to his parents about Anya. Holly J, yes, he stood up to his parents about Holly J, but not Anya. And Anya fell into a huge downfall. She dated Owen, she dated Dr. Chris. She just was looking for a lot of people. And yet, she was like, everyone brutalized her. So, number nine, other way. Number 9 with 22 votes in the mini poll was Sig being interested in Maya when she was courting other boys. So when I did this video in the Degrassi Unpopular Opinions, this was a while back, about more than a year, I think. But here's the problem. Maya was interested in Cam. Maya was interested in Miles. But Sig was jealous. Sig was jealous that Maya was with Cam and Miles was with Miles. Sig, of course, we know, is inadvertently responsible for forcing Cam to commit suicide, either by slashing his throat, or in what could be huge because he was in the JT York greenhouse, Memorial Greenhouse. He drank some chemicals. And as I said in most videos, a couple of years ago, I was working the summer at a garden center before I got my job at Shoppers Drug Mart and before Canadian Tire. So I knew about chemicals and all that stuff. I had to take like online learning modules about it. But the fact of the matter is that, Sig was jealous and all that. It seemed that, and when Sig was with Maya, it seemed that Sig's eye was wandering, and, he's bored with Maya, even though Maya's trying to protect Sig from the gang life. And I think in a way Maya is relieved that she helped somebody and not have to worry about Cam anymore. But the bus crash proved to hurt those feelings. But the fact of the matter is, I compared Sig's jealousy to Veronica in the Archie comics. Now, of course, I'm saying Archie comics because we all know about that Riverdale CW show, and it's a whole lot fucking different, especially with Betty's mom being a giant prick who you just want to strangle. Homer Simpson style, but regardless. So anyway, I say Sig is like Veronica because Veronica and Archie, like when Betty's in love with Archie and all that, Sig is jealous. But when Betty dumps Archie off in a comic story for Adam, even though that Archie's now free for Veronica, Veronica says, I don't think I want him anymore. And in one story I remember from a comics thing, Dilton tells Betty that, Veronica's competitive. Veronica only wants Archie because Betty has Veronica. So Betty tries to dump Archie off on Veronica, and Veronica doesn't really care for Archie. So Betty and Archie go out to places where Veronica would never frequent. And then Betty, unfortunately has the guilty conscience and tells how she likes Archie, and she doesn't care if Veronica knows it. And Veronica finds out. So yeah, this is a whole sick thing. And at number 7 on the list, is 7? Oh, sorry, number 8, pardon. 8. Number 8 is, with 32 votes, was Maya failed by people in season 13 and 14. The fact is that Maya's downfall in her depression could have been easily helped if her family and her friends and Simpson even helped her. Maya was being cyber shamed by Zoe. She retaliates with a song and gets in trouble. Snake suspends her. Maya has a chance to get Zoe in court, but, Maya's mom tells her to be the better person and all that, even though that Maya was the victim. And then Zoe got off scot-free, and Maya was pissed off. For many people, Simpson put her in the remedial class just because of that one blunder. What the fuck, Simpson? But I think in a way Simpson was groveling towards Zoe's mom, thinking that he might get in deep shit if he didn't help Zoe out. So anyway, Maya's depression came out, and basically her mom told her to suck it up and all that, and says that you can't ruin your life for a boy. Fair enough, but tough love. Maya did fail herself by saying she should have said something about Kim, and then people would have understood and maybe been more sympathetic to her. But the system failed her, and she went off the rails and became overprotective because of that. And at number 7, is the school making Spinner a scapegoat for their mistakes in the Rick bullying. That's 50 of them. This was my first unpopular opinion, and I repeated it for the 100th unpopular opinion in my list, which you'll see on the right side of the Reddit thing. But the fact of the matter is that the school making Spinner a scapegoat was huge. I mean, they bullied Rick relentlessly. They took Emma's orange ribbon campaign the wrong way. I mean, Emma had some blame in it, but I think Emma didn't know about how much it would have been mom mentality. I mean, the school kind of was upset because Radish refused to do anything about Rick's situation, not even doing a announcement or a assembly or anything, and left the students to say that, we'll take everything in our own hands. I understand that, and Radish fails because of that. But the fact is that the students made Rick's life a living hell and led Rick to fall from grace and all that. I know the zero tolerance policy was kind of the punishment for them, but it should have been a little bit more. And as I said in an earlier entry, if it happened in 2021, the students would have been dead beat and canceled in a sense. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to try my best to get this whole section under an hour. Well, not the video, because I did a previous section about the storylines that should have been in the top 30 but weren't, in my opinion. But anyway, here we go. Here are the top 6 colors, Degrassi, unpopular opinions. Not hot takes. All right, so number 6, with 9 votes, was Emma's character change. The fact of the matter is that, this is the whole weird thing. It's a accumulation of 2 of the top 30 that I've already talked about Emma being clingy towards friends and being clingy towards a boyfriend / Sean. It was weird seeing Emma. Like the first 4 seasons, the first 3.5 seasons, I should say, she was very precocious. She was environmentally driven. She was cause driven. She was a pain in the neck, and people did not like Emma being stubborn and almighty as it seemed, especially Manny. And then when Rick, she lost everybody because of her stupidity, and she almost died. The fact of the matter is that Emma screwed herself over. And then Emma, after season 4, was more gung-ho on trying to be boy crazy and friend crazy. And I was just upset. I feel the writers had a lot of problems. And it might be early hate. After all, internet boards have been around since the 2000s, but not as highly popular as they are nowadays. Like Reddit wasn't really around in the when Rick was situation in 2004. So maybe people were just upset over Emma being precocious and all that. And, the writers said that, Emma deserves to be better, to be more like an average teenager. Unfortunately, she got a little bit more ditzy. And to me, it's like, this was the problem. The biggest problem I had with this character change was season 5 when she dated Peter after what he did to Manny. Emma in seasons 1 to 3.5 would have destroyed Peter once and for all. And, she might not have had a boyfriend, but they just made her into glow up. They said her glow up made her a popular person, and not so much. Number 5 with 15 votes in the last mini poll was season 4's deleted scenes. Would have been better in the Rick storyline. So there were a lot. I know every season has a deleted scene, but season 4's had a thing to do with the Rick storyline. The first deleted scene was when Alex and Marco, who were named vice president and president of student council respectively, in the previous episode, tried to talk to Raj. Raj says that Terry's in a private school and can't talk about her matters. And Raj goes on to say that, to the best of my knowledge, he doesn't have a criminal charge. And as long as a student doesn't have a criminal charge, he or she will study at my school, like it or not. And, it's puzzling. It's like, Raj, if you watch the product without the deleted scenes in mind, Raj is more of a dick than, see the deleted scenes. Understandably. I mean, you can honestly sympathize with Raj that without a criminal charge, Raj couldn't do anything. And it was off school grounds. So Raj couldn't really do anything. His hands were tied, in a sense. And then the second deleted scene was when Spinner, Jimmy, and Craig walk in the hallway and see Rick when he comes back with his painted feathers. Spinner goes, "Bark, bark, 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 bark." Raj hears it and tells Spinner to meet him at 3:30 for a serious talk. And then Raj goes up to Rick and apologizes for everything, says take the day off. And then when Rick says, I'm going to my locker, he says, okay, just leave immediately. And then Snake takes him to task, and then Raj says the famous line, which I always misquote. This is not daycare, and making friends is not part of the curriculum. I always say this isn't preschool. Although preschool and daycare are almost two in the same. So anyway, yeah. It's like, Snake and Raj had one blow up that day. We all know about the blow up in the finished product in the media room, but people didn't know that Spinner and Raj had a second blow up like before Rick went to the bathroom and then did the untimely deed to Jimmy and nearly did it to Emma. I mean, and it also adds on to the thing about when Spinner says Jimmy knows. Raj knows. But the fact of the matter is, when you watch it without the deleted scenes, you can probably guess that Spinner's worried that Jimmy might narc on him. But then the fact of the matter is that Spinner knows he's got to talk to Raj at 3:30 and says that's why Raj knows. And then Jay tries to help Spinner out by getting rid of his guilt and all that. But unfortunately, it just made things a whole lot worse. Number 4 with 15, sorry. Number 4 with 22 votes was students needing more blame for Rick's downfall. I screwed up. I mixed 4 and 7 up. 7 was supposed to be for putting Spinner to be scapegoated. Shoot. Did I say that wrong in the poll? I must have. No, number 7 should have been the one about Spinner's downfall and all that. Like, the students were scapegoating Spinner to protect their own butts and all that. Well, in Eye of the Tiger, the students were upset when word spread about Spinner's confession to Jimmy, and Spinner was told not to go anywhere near Jimmy and to get out of the school. But Spinner says, I need to fix the situation. They basically didn't want Rick Spinner back. Spinner didn't know the gravity of his situation until Jimmy tells him that Spinner is not his friend, because what type of friend tells people to hurt Jimmy? I mean, I know Spinner didn't know Rick had a gun, but still, that doesn't excuse anything. But all that, yeah. So yeah, the students scapegoating Spinner for their own actions kind of led to students needing more blame for Rick's downfall. So I apologize, I completely goofed that one. But it is what it is. Anyway, number 3 with 31 votes was Craig being overrated. Now, I don't hate Jake Goldsby, I think it is? Or is it Jake Epstein? I think it's Jake Epstein. Goldsby, I think, is Toby, but Jake Epstein, he's pretty cool. I liked Craig. I liked how he was introduced in season 2 as being a victim of child abuse by his father, who, has a lot of issues. And his bipolar problems were basically passed down to Craig genetically in season 4. But the fact of the matter is that Craig, for all people's liking Craig and all that, he did become a scumbag in a sense. But yeah, he was victimized by child abuse, and his tormentor died, and he got justice. But Craig was a serial cheater. I mean, Joey took Craig in, and then Craig seemed to not appreciate Joey's efforts to help him out, especially when Joey asked Craig for rent money because, his house Joey was going broke and all that. I mean, Joey did admit he should have asked Craig for help, and Craig would have given him help. Maybe Craig did give him help. But the fact is, Craig may have taken Joey for granted a couple of times. He was a serial cheater to Manny and Ashley, dating them both at the same time before they both dump him off. He impregnates Manny. Ashley breaks the news to everybody about Craig's stupidity towards Manny. And, I don't blame Ashley one bit. She had a right to do it. But the fact of the matter is that, Craig seemed to be uncaring. His relationship sucked. He was taking drugs and all that. I know maybe his bipolar thing had something to do with it, but, he wasn't that great of a superstar character and all that. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. Well, as is, number 2 with 43 votes in the final poll, missing out by 4, was Spinner's redemption arc being the best of all time. Now, a lot of people said there's good redemption arcs, like, Holly J's redemption arc, probably, Who else had a good redemption arc? Maybe Ashley, maybe Paige in a sense, maybe Liberty. I can't remember who had a good redemption arc. I wouldn't say Tristan for sure. But anyway, one person who should have had a good redemption arc was Lucas after what happened in season 8, Jane says. Like he learns that Jane was molested and was trying to help Jane out. And then all of a sudden he vanished after that episode. I don't know what happened to Lucas. Was he involved in Mia and Isabella's lives? Did he help Jane with her problems? He was never mentioned. That was pathetic. But, I said Spinner had the best redemption arc, was Unpopular. Now, here's the thing. Spinner was kind of a bully in the first few seasons. Season 4, he really went downhill fast. He aligned himself with Jay and Alex to destroy Rick. Jimmy was also a bully, and Jimmy realizes that too. But basically, after Jimmy protects Rick and switches sides, Spinner was upset. He and Jay were trying to make Rick's life a living hell, and in a way, trying to get Jimmy back on their side. Plain as you can see. But all of a sudden, Rick decides to take the gun back from his locker, shoot Jimmy, who he thought was tricking him, and then nearly kill Emma for her advances, her quote-unquote advances. But Spinner realizes that wants to go to the cops with everything, but Jay says you can't tell anyone about your problems. Spinner says he's my best friend. Either outcome, he was your best friend. Of course, Jay was right about that Jimmy didn't want to be best friends with Spinner. Spinner told on himself, got expelled. Season 5, he came back because Hatzalakos said that he deserved to come back. Jay didn't want to come back. But Spinner wanted to redeem himself. And he knew that he could get his friends back with time if he times everything correctly. So I think that Spinner did the right thing by doing a good redemption arc. That, he got to the Christian club. He tried to help. He got help from Darcy. He had a thing for Darcy. And, he got his friends back by the end of season 5. That's all that matters. Spinner was willing to take some slings and arrows to try to get his friends back. He didn't force people to forgive him. He just lay back and waited. And it worked. Spinner had a redemption. I know testicular cancer wasn't good in season 7. But Spinner was good. Even married Emma. Ugh. Anyway, the number one unpopular opinion I have with 47 votes was Adam and JT could have been written out of the show without dying. I know that, you could add Cam to that. But Cam was put in the show just for depression and a suicide storyline. Everyone knows it. The writers said it themselves. So Cam's not in this conversation. Because Adam and JT were both beloved characters. They both ended dying under weird circumstances. They deserved better. And there was no penalty for writing them out without death. So in JT's case, JT being the class clown, and then JT, in season 5, was impregnated Liberty, trying to do everything to help Liberty out, but Liberty was abusive towards him. The system was being abusive towards him. JT took some OxyContin to try to pay for stuff for Liberty, and the baby fails miserably, decides to take some pills to make himself go to sleep faster because, he sucked and his family was out for him. And, he survives. He takes courses. Liberty gives up the baby. JT's upset. He dates Mia, having a 2-year-old in season 6, Liberty being a little jealous. JT realizing that he should be with Liberty instead of Mia. I think maybe in a sense that he was fearing for his life after Lakers tried to destroy him. So then, unfortunately, he gets stabbed in the aorta by Drake Lampley, and then he dies, and everyone is upset over it. Now, Emma, they said, shouldn't be upset with this whole situation, especially with the fact that she didn't really interact with JT a lot. But the fact is, it took place in front of her house at a thing that she was not supposed to host. I think in a way she was scared that the cops were going to lay the boom down on Emma and Manny. So she was worried. But anyway, JT was an actor. He liked to be in TV. They could have said JT took an acting job somewhere else. And he was willing to help out his friends from afar. And, Toby would have been upset. But, Toby was shafted a lot. And, of course, you got yourself Adam. Season 10, being the first transgender character on a Canadian teen show. Maybe a Canadian show, period. But anyway, yeah, he was a female to male. And, he was accepted by Claire and Eli. Surprised that Claire was because of her Christianity. But Claire, I think, was less about the Christian religion than Darcy was and wanted to get out of her parents being bitches towards her. But anyway, yeah, Adam had a lot of problems with the school hating on him for being transgendered and all that. Audra had some doubts about it and wanted Adam to turn female. I think just for the sake of her parents. But anyway, Adam was bullied and all that. Audra was upset that Adam was not being protected. Simpson was in deep trouble. And the fact is, Adam had some good storylines, and he had a relationship with Becky. Becky almost tried to go to conversion therapy, trying to forget about Adam being transgender, but then I think Jenna protected her and all that. But, Adam being with Becky and then Imogen, it's like, Adam cheating on those two? Why? We know that Imogen was actually gay with Jack in season 14, but, still, Adam was terrible. But Adam realizes he should be with Becky if Becky respects him. And then they kill Adam off in a stupid texting and driving way. It's like, of all the ways to kill off a beloved character, they do that? Adam got a proper send off. I know that, which was great. But Adam and JT deserve better. And, I know that Ryan Cooley wanted to leave for college for JT and says to write about in glory fashion, but JT could have gotten an acting job. Adam could have went to another school that dealt with transgender people better than Degrassi. Things would have been much better, and they would have been much remembered instead of the ways they died. Pathetic. But anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching this long-winded thing, and have yourself a good